comes from a PHNX source. They told us that the Magic have offered this package to the Suns. The Suns will receive Wendell Carter Jr., Jonathan Isaac, and Bol Bol, and the Magic will receive Deandre Ayton. Now, just something to note, this offer did come before the Bradley Beal trade was reported. The Suns were supposedly looking for the Magic to include a guard of some sort. Now that the Beal thing has gone down, maybe that has changed a little bit, and this could be back on the table, or at least a starting point for these two teams to have a discussion.
Yeah, it's entirely possible that the math has changed for the Suns a little bit. Obviously, they still need some help in the backcourt because beyond Booker and Beal, the only guards that they really have right now are Campaign, whose deal is not even fully guaranteed, and Jordan Goodwin, who's coming over in the Bradley Beal trade as well. So you could use a little bit of help in that regard, and the Magic have a couple of younger guards that you might target. I don't know if they're interested in DA to that extent to give up one of those guards. A lot of Magic fans, and this is not going to be a surprise, another team reacted to a trade and didn't like it.
Boo freaking who?
But the Magic fans that I've talked with about the deals that I proposed are pretty adamant that Markelle Fultz is not going anywhere.
There is the rumor Cole Anthony is available.
He would make more sense, and he's a guy that I mentioned in the trade article as well. He's a guy that is a double-digit scorer. He's flawed, but he's improved. He had his most efficient season last year as well. So that's something maybe they could work with that.
Yeah, and what intrigues me about including a guy like that is its youth again. You know, you add Jordan Goodwin, you could add a Cole Anthony. All of a sudden, you're like, oh, well, this team does have some youth. It's not what everybody's freaking out about. I like this deal. I liked it when I heard it. If you can add a Cole Anthony in to give you that guard that you're looking for and figure out how to make it work, I probably call this into the commissioner about as fast as I can, because I think this gives you the depth you need, makes a lot of sense, and can really help you throughout the way. I'm getting too excited on trade one. We've got 14 more to go.
Yeah, and they would need to guarantee the amounts of the players that they're trading for, and it's worth noting that Jonathan Isaac is not the pinnacle of health. So in theory, while he would be a great multi-positional defensive addition to this team, there are some concerns about how much time he's missed over the last few years.
There is one thing with this contract, though. I only think half of it is guaranteed.
You would have, but to make the math work on the trade, you would need to guarantee more of it to make those contracts align there.
So. Which is the same thing we saw the Wizards do with Chris Paul.
Correct.
I think Isaac being injury prone is a little bit of a question mark on this one. The chat loves the idea of bringing Bol Bol here. And I feel like Bol Bol has gotten a little bit better over the last couple of years. I know when he first was in the league, it was questionable. And now it's like, okay, you are a serviceable NBA player who's continuing to improve on your craft.
Right. This was the first year where he looked like a legitimate rotation player. And at the start of the year, he looked like a most improved player candidate. Kind of trailed off a little bit as the year went on. Numbers dipped. But he's a guy that can block shots. He can shoot threes even. He can do a little bit of everything that you need. And for me, the big piece is Wendell Carter Jr. He's a guy that's kind of been underrated for a while. Back in the draft, it was him and Jaren Jackson and Deandre Ayton and all these bigs that we were wondering who was going to be the best. And if you ask the Magic fans, they're pretty high on what Carter provides for, only $13 million next season, 11.9 the season after that. He would be the type of guy that I think the Suns are looking for. Maybe not quite as good as DA individually, maybe a little bit more limited offensive repertoire, but for like nearly a third of the cost.
Yeah, and right now you obviously don't need offensive repertoire with what you have. Fun fact, Bol Bol's dad, Manute Bol, in 93, hit 6 threes against the Suns, at the time the most threes made by a center in a game. And if you acquire him, it keeps my dream of having Taco Fall and him on the same team and having a Taco Bowl. So,
Taco Bowl.
My God.
We're halfway there.
Yep, Taco Bowl Tuesday, baby.
That happens.
That could be an epic charity event, though.
Yeah.
If they tag team to put on like the most epic community/charity event, I feel like that would be ideal. Okay, so there are quite a few additional Magic Suns trades in the article at Go PHNX. The only additional one we will talk about here is the Suns receiving Wendell Carter Jr. and Markelle Fultz in exchange for Deandre. And Gerald, you did mention that a lot of people are unsure if Markelle Fultz will be available, if the Magic are willing to part ways with him. Is there a potential, do you think?
I don't
Or is this
know.
more of a pipe dream?
He doesn't strike me as like a cornerstone piece for them. He is on an expiring contract, so it's not guaranteed he'll even be back in Orlando beyond this season. I felt like Jalen Suggs is obviously more off limits, Paulo Banchero off limits.
Obviously.
But like in terms of guards, Fultz is like he's finally proved himself as like a starting caliber guard. He's not the number one draft pick we were expecting. He's not the phenom that we were kind of hoping to see. But he is a good point of attack defender. He can run offense. He can play off the ball a little bit. Does a little bit of everything on both ends of the court now, which is something that you want. He's still young. So I understand why the Magic might be content to just keep their young nucleus intact and keep going with that. But if you're the Suns and Fultz is available, like Carter and Fultz is a pretty good return for DA in terms of getting that starting center on a lesser contract, getting a guard that you can play as a combo guard. You can play him as a point guard wherever you want to put him. And he will be that point of attack defender that the Suns could use maybe in their starting five, even if they are a little undersized.
You look at it, though, and we were talking about this beforehand. If you're looking at a guard, you're likely looking at that for the bench, right? Because you get very small, very, very quick if you trade for a point guard and then you play Beal, Book, and KD all together. So do you think a Fultz or a Cole Anthony fit maybe that six-man, fit that bench point guard role there?
I think either one could do that. I think Cole Anthony probably fits that mold a little bit better in terms of a bench scorer who can just come in and get buckets without, having a conscience about the shots that he's taking. Fultz strikes me as more, he would have fit better, I think, before the Beal trade. I just still don't think he's a bad fit if he's your backup point guard. But yeah, and I don't, like I said, I'd be surprised if the Magic made both of those two available in a DA trade, but you just never know how an opposing front office is going to value a guy.
And especially now because we knew that the original trade that we brought up was something that was offered before the Beal trade. Now that reportedly anyway, more teams are calling the Suns, inquiring about DeAndre, and that could potentially up his value as well because now you have more competition.
Right.
Fun fact, same year Bull hit 6 threes against the Suns, or Manute Bull, Cole Anthony's dad, Greg Anthony, started a massive brawl between the Knicks and the Suns. So there's another fun time.
You got all the fun
all
facts
of the
today,
today.
Espo. Do we have a fun fact for every single one of these trades? You should have done that.
I should have.
You really should have.
Would have
And
had
I actually-
41 fun facts.
I made fun of Greg Anthony for the shirt he was wearing. He was injured during that fight, and he responded to me on Twitter about it. So
Oh, really?
He said, "Yeah, that shirt was ugly. It had like, had like boat